as with the question I've tabled in front of Mr. Goddard, have any councillors had sight of the playing pitch and playing fields and indoor sports halls strategy? Can you, Councillor Avery, just give a quick summary of your observations of that strategy, please?
How long have you got? I assume you've seen it online?
I've seen the summary document on the South Cambs District Council webpage, but not the full document.
For those people that don't know, the volume of paper for those two strategies, one's playing fields and open spaces, I think, and one is indoor, it was 1,050 sides, 2 agenda items at the last local plan development subcommittee scrutiny committee thing, which I'm a new member of, and I arrived on my doormat a week before the meeting, which is fantastic. 1,000 sides a week before a meeting. It's not as bad as it sounds. So the context is that, as people will know, there's a local plan which is being assessed, or is going through its process of being approved, if you like, an ongoing local plan approval process for the bigger picture on planning. Within that context, there are a number of other strategies that are essentially bodies of evidence that can be drawn from when people are looking to make planning applications that relate to these things, in this case open spaces and indoor sports. And so the document is a sort of survey. In both cases, it's a survey really of the use and the need and the facilities that there are currently, set within the context of the hopes and aspirations of local teams and clubs, and in the context of the indoor facilities, the usage, if you like, of public facilities like swimming pools and the like. Also guided by the hopes and dreams of the national governing bodies, for, in the terms of its outside sports, the 5 most popular in terms of participation sports. So that would be football, rugby union, cricket, hockey, and one other. Netball. Not netball.
Basketball.
No. Football, rugby. Maybe it's there's 4. No, cricket. Football, rugby, cricket. And the other 2 I've forgotten. Hockey and. No. Anyway, and the process is that those national governing bodies are statutory consultees, meaning that if you develop a strategy, then you have to go to the statutory consultees and ask their opinion on these matters and get their input, which means that the strategy is very much developed along the lines of the hopes and dreams of the national governing bodies. What we end up with is a very dense document with a lot of good analysis and a lot of evidence collected and collated jointly by the City and the Council. And it is not our policy, it doesn't rate as our policy, it rates as the evidence base against which planning applications for development can be assessed. So it provides supporting evidence for that. So if when I started, you were wondering whether you can possibly and properly assess 1,000 pages in a week, well, of course you can't. But we weren't, when at that committee, when we recommended that those papers form the basis for the evidence for the future, we weren't adopting them as policy. We were just saying this is good evidence. This can be relied upon as evidence of the sorts of things that people want and need. When planning applications come forward, and this is the point that I was testing in the committee, when the planning applications come forward that touch on those issues, they're still decided on planning grounds. So So say for example, or take an example, one of the national governing bodies likes floodlights for their pitches. That is in there as something that is one of their priorities. That does not mean that it is our policy that all of those sports should have floodlight pitches immediately, or even in the near future. It's simply identifying that in the context of the priorities of those sports, that's one of the priorities. That's possibly enough on the subject, unless there's anything specific.
And the reason it's relevant to the south area is simply because the number of playing fields that we have in this part of town, in particular the ones over at Netherhall, the ones over Leward Road, Sedley Taylor Road, which I used to play on as a child, but now seem to be all locked up, in particular the one on Sedley Taylor Road. And I guess my main personal interest in this is that, in particular in the summer months, members of the public who used to have access to this, or to those playing fields, now no longer have access to those playing fields. Now, again, because I didn't know the detail of what the strategy was about, because it was just hidden away completely from, yes, it was published, but it was not publicised. My two main points are specifically at a local. The one general point is, as public institutions, you've got to do so much better at making sure that information that is of concern to the public service users, and I'm thinking in particular young people here, not just busybodies like me, have access to this, have access to that information and can comment on it and can lobby yourselves on it rather than just relying on people like me. And then secondly, something to think about in the long term is access to those playing fields and indoor sports halls, comparing the access that we used to have 20, 25 years ago, where me and my mates would think nothing of going back to Netherhall's playing fields and just play on there and nobody would stop us, to now where everything is locked up. Take my old primary school, Morley. In the late 90s, I could go roller skating and rollerblading there because the playgrounds were open. I can't do that now because they are all locked up. And I've got a pair of rollerblades getting very, very dusty because there is nowhere safe for me to go skating. Now, if I can't go skating, what hope is there for anyone under the age of 18 to find somewhere safe? And then we wonder why we've got an obesity problem. So I'll leave it there.
I mean, I think there's a couple of good points there, of course. The one about access to the information, I don't know, but I think it's all online. But it is, 500 sides online for the open spaces and 500 sides for the inside. But it is there, and probably you might find, now that you know it's there, there will be a page somewhere in there that refers to your favourite haunts of olden times, and it will describe the use that it's currently getting. One of the reasons it's so long is that every space has a bit of analysis about the space, about what use it's getting, whether it's being overused or underused, and mostly, of course, there's a lot of underuse. One of the interesting things that came through was that we have we have less public space than we need, than we think we need open space. In terms of internal space, if you do some analysis, it looks like we have more than we need, more swimming pools than we need, but actually we import a lot of activity from the county, and that's why they're all running at 95% or 98% capacity. So, but if you look in there, you'll see the evidence that will be relied upon for the use of this field or that field. And if you were to want to make a case to open it up, that's where you'd go and find that information. I mean, we all know why people now lock gates. It's a combination of vandalism and concerns about occupiers' liability, and insurance and lawyers to actually declare an interest on that front. But I mean, it is sad that we can't go and kick a ball around in the old school football pitches, but that's fact of modern life, I'm afraid.